you could be below to even it out and be below for a significant amount of time. So even though for my year target, I'm kind of looking at that 3,000 level, I think over the longer term, the next couple years, we actually could go below that level. It could be a pretty nasty. Bitcoin was trading nicely higher. And then as soon as the stock market started to sell, Bitcoin started to sell as well. So that's going to continue. The kicker for me is that I do think we have an inversion coming where all of a sudden Bitcoin starts to take on more of a safety asset. So as you slip into recession, stocks by default will have less consumers buying their products, and their earnings are going to continue to drop. Now, fund managers are going to have to say, listen, I have to stay invested, so where do I go? Well, right now, they're not going near crypto. FTX screwed any chance of that, frankly, in the near term. But if you can get
2023 just started, and everyone is still wondering if we will finally see a bull run in crypto. To best understand what's happening in the world's economy and what we can expect in crypto, we will have Gareth Soloway share his opinion in today's video. In case you don't know Gareth, he is the founder and chief market strategist of InTheMoneyStocks.com and VerifiedInvestingCrypto.com. Gareth is also a technical analysis expert who has been hitting Bitcoin price predictions right in the head, so we love to share his content on the channel. And if you want to know his actual portfolio, make sure you watch this video until the end. First, let's take a look at macro.
We are going to slip into a recession in 2023, and it's going to actually turn out to be a very rough recession. Right? We obviously know that past recessions since 2009, the Fed has come out, printed money. They can't do it this year. So there's going to be a point later this year, probably in the third quarter or fourth quarter, where the market and investors are going to say, uh-oh, if the Fed won't save us, how do we get out of this recession? We don't know how. We don't know. We're like it's like the parent and the child. The parent always saves the kids. When the parent leaves, what happens to the market here? So I think that's going to be key. I think this is the year where the S&P actually dips and takes out, not only hits the pre-COVID high, but actually retraces to a key trend line. So this is my S&P 500 chart. Today, we are seeing a nice little down day. There is a bearish pattern formation here, so that does dictate further downside over the next week or two. But really what I'm expecting is a move probably within the January or February month to 3,400 on the S&P. And then obviously after that gets a bounce, you'll be looking at this long-term trend line. Take a look at this trend line. It goes all the way back to 2009. Connects through these lows. Here was your COVID pierce. That just panic was just insane there. But this is probably where we're headed. So we're looking at a 3,000, at least I'm looking at a $3,000 target on the S&P 500 this year alone in 2023. And then let's not forget about crypto. I mean, crypto probably bottoms this year, but it's going to be a very volatile yield. You're going to have some pops in crypto. You're going to have some dips. You will probably hear about regulation in 2023 as well. And I think that's going to really send the market into kind of a tizzy in the near term. Even though for my year target, I'm kind of looking at that 3,000 level, I think over the longer term, the next couple years, we actually could go below that level. It could be a pretty nasty.
What can we expect from crypto this year? Can we expect a bull run to happen with all the blood in the streets? Or will it still be attached to the stock market, which everyone predicts to keep going down hard?
Right now, there's no doubt about it. Like today, a great example, early stock market was soaring in the pre-market in the early portion. Bitcoin was trading nicely higher. And then as soon as the stock market started to sell, Bitcoin started to sell as well. So that's going to continue. The kicker for me is that I do think we have an inversion coming where all of a sudden Bitcoin starts to take on more of a safety asset. So as you slip into recession, stocks by default will have less consumers buying their products, and their earnings are going to continue to drop. Now, fund managers are going to have to say, listen, I have to stay invested, so where do I go? Well, right now, they're not going near crypto. FTX screwed any chance of that, frankly, in the near term. But if you can get regulation in the first half of 2023, and I do think it will come in the first half of 2023, now there's transparency. There's forced transparency. Now you'll start to see institutions saying, okay, listen, earnings continue to decline, so stocks have to go down. Where am I going to put my money? Let's look at gold. Let's look at Bitcoin. And in fact, we're seeing an amazing rally on gold today, although it is off of its highs. but you're seeing some of these same things already starting to kind of coordinate. So I think that May to June is probably your low in Bitcoin. That's what I'm pricing out. And then I think it starts to slowly take on a kind of a hedge against global fear and panic and recession. The fundamental factor of Bitcoin was it started in 2009, which was when the Fed started quantitative easing. And so we're in this period now of where you don't have quantitative easing, which has been arguably one of the biggest factors in the bull run in Bitcoin, right? I mean, it's the reason why Bitcoin came into existence, to offset the printing of money. Now, I do think that eventually it does kind of go in that vicinity, but I think at this stage, the question is, does that 4-year cycle become elongated in the near term because you don't have the printing of money? And I kind of do think it will. I honestly think that this bear market, it won't be a ton longer, but I think it stretches closer to the next halving in Bitcoin than it normally does.
Gareth says that the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin may take longer to finish. In that case, even knowing that he still expects the bottom to come in May or June this year, if consolidation is coming, where are people putting their money?
Yeah, so I think that for me, it's mainly looking at gold and commodities right now, mainly goldish and silver type trades that aren't as reliant on economic growth. Like copper for me is I'm a little hesitant. Natural gas has been collapsing lately, so I'm a little hesitant on those type of things. But I think gold is where it's going, and all you have to do is look back at the chart. And let me show this chart here on gold, because I think it makes all the difference in the world, right? So if you look at the cycle that we are in gold here, so this is the process. So there was a 2-year run from 2018 to 2020. That was your bull run in gold. Then since then, you've had basically consolidation, right? There's this consolidatory period where gold's been going sideways to lower. That's actually what we would call a bull flag in the technical world. Now, my expectation is going to see a breakout and gold probably head towards 2,500 an ounce this year, maybe 3,000 in 2024. And the basis for that is just this. So let's go back to the 1970s, right? And again, the reason I'm using the 1970s is because it's the only time where we've seen inflation, at least in recent history, as high as what we've seen recently. And what you can see here is that, look at this parallel. So you really had about 2 years where gold inclined, 2 years of bullish consolidation, and then look at the break to the upside. I mean, this just became the bull market of the century back then, of just an incredible 10x on gold. And again, by the way, I'm not calling for a 10x on gold, but you have to look at history to kind of see what the future could be. The gold accumulation, central banks are loading up on gold right now. And you have to take that. I mean, if they're the ones printing money and they're buying gold, we have to be like, that's kind of interesting. Maybe we should pay attention to that. Right. And I do think eventually Bitcoin takes that on. But again, most of the Bitcoin maxis, they fell in love with the asset too early on. And again, Bitcoin was created in 2009. So you have to understand, it's only a 13-year-old or 14-year-old, right? It's not a mature asset yet. So it's still behaving very volatilely. But I do think it matures into that eventually.
And this is how Gareth looks at the markets, which seems an excellent way to do it for us here at the Daily Crypto.
What asset is going to make me money in the next 6 to 12 months? That's all I care about. I don't care if it gets too high, I'll sell it in a heartbeat. I never fall in love with any asset because it's not going to fall in love back with me. That's for sure. There's nothing wrong with taking a risk. I was talking in a few recent interviews about like Solana. Solana was trading at $8. And I got on interviews and I was like, listen, Solana, it could go to zero, but if it survives this fear from FTX and what they're going to unload, it could also go back to 50. So, if you're going to buy Solana, number one, you do with a very small amount of money. And number two, you have to go in saying, listen, my down case is an $8 or $9 loss, but my upside is $50 or $100. And you have to be okay getting into those trades. So I think, it's all about risk reward analysis.
If Gareth is chasing opportunities, what is his portfolio right now?
So for me, in my portfolio, what I'm really looking to do here is pick up some of these like EWZs on China. China has ripped recently, so there's no way I'm going back into that in the near term. But when it does pull back, I will be a buyer of pullbacks there. And then also gold miners, I think, do very, very well in 2023. So those are some other areas. And then there will be a point where I do think, things with exposure to cryptocurrencies start to become better. Coinbase has been absolutely trounced. It's actually starting to look semi-interesting down here, even though I don't think Bitcoin's quite bottomed. But there are some things where you can, for me, I start nibbling, right? I'm a nibbler. I don't go all in at one time. I kind of dollar cost average slowly on very, very good levels.
Are you enjoying our content? You should watch the recommended video next, which you can find in the comments below. We have been publishing some crazy good content on what happened behind the curtains to FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe so you get notified every time we upload new videos just like this. Thanks.